I think it's okay to have contests at a convention for healed work, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a totally different element, But if they just got rid of Tattoo of the Day and Best of Show, the entire convention would be different. People would be able...
Tattoo of the Day makes people go insane.
Yeah.
They do insane shit. They don't talk to anybody. It really does take a client and an artist completely out of the community.
Yeah.
Chasing Tattoo of the Day.
Yeah.
Shit's about to go down.
I'm feeling something in my spirit.
Chats and Tatts with Aaron Della Vedova.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Chats and Tatts with me, your host, Aaron Della Vedova. I'm lucky enough to be up here at the Golden State Tattoo Expo here in Pasadena, California, and I've been wandering around meeting a lot of bad-ass tattooers, a few I never heard of, a few I had. The gentleman I have on today is one I have known about for a long time. I've looked up to his work for a very long time. You really should check it out. It's phenomenal. And I know, based on his portfolio, this is a very hardworking individual. I know what it takes to create a portfolio like this. So right out of the gate, I got nothing but respect for this man. Well, how would I explain him? He's a black and gray kind of surrealism. So there's a lot of realistic aspects to his tattooing, but then he's taken some Salvador Dali soul juice and just stirring it up into some crazy cocktail. It's the best way I could say it. He's also a painter, and he's going to be shy about this, but he's doing some sculpting, and they are insane. In fact, we just had a talk about it. I think I'm going to give a stab at this. It sounded so rad to try that. But he owned his own tattoo shop in Atlanta for 15 years, Stygian. And then just in the last couple of years, he's backed out of that and went kind of private. And now he is in Dallas, Pennsylvania with his wife, the two of them in this beautiful studio, just working their craft and growing their art together. It's so beautiful. I'm a little jealous. So with all that being said, please welcome my guest today, Tony Mancia. Hey, bud.
Yeah, sweet.
Thanks for
I'm
coming
stoked
up.
to be here, man.
Everybody, it's early in the morning for us tattooers.
Yeah.
We are here.
Response time might be like a little a second off.
Our
but-
coffees haven't fully absorbed into our bloodstreams, but we're going to do our best. Much to talk about, and we're going to just move fast because I've got a few. You've got to go, I've got to go, but we had this moment. We're going to do it. But just tell me. I love to hear how people find tattoo.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have been a lot of different creative things, but you're a tattoo artist.
Yeah.
Like, how'd that happen for you?
Man, so I did the typical, started getting tattooed at about 15. Go to the biker shop, pay cash, they don't ID. And I had this magical idea that, when you're 18 and you can legally go get a tattoo, that it's going to be incredible. So I drew up some sketches for a back piece, and walked into a shop and showed it to the guy I wanted to get tattooed. He's like, cool, man, I need an apprentice. And I'm like, I'm in college. Like, it's not going to work. He's like, all right, well, I'm not going to tattoo you. And I'm like,
He wouldn't do the tattoo unless you became his apprentice.
Like,
that was the price.
And I was like, this sounds great, And so I bounced, school apprentice for a while, and wholeheartedly, I had a more traditional apprenticeship, but he taught me, he legitimate put effort into teaching me, and it was awesome. It was great, and then I started tattooing probably when I was full time when I was 19, and didn't stop from there. So it kind of just fell upon me. I really never planned on it. I was like, I'm in school for fine art and painting, I'll draw pictures for people and have a great living, And you quickly realize that one, that would be difficult, but two, that you fell in love with tattooing pretty immediate. There's a different element with it you can't really put with other
Let's talk about that. What makes, in your words, tattoo so special and different from all other mediums?
Man, I honestly say so. It's interesting. You have a start to finish, right? You have a time limit. You have human interaction. It's almost like when you're tattooing, you have someone's lighting off fireworks here, and you have to be able to multitask. Especially back in the day. You're fully having a conversation with a client while you're trying to pull a line with a green soap stencil, Right. You're like, wow, this is a lot, So it was such a challenge to kind of do everything and still have to accomplish, this task in a time frame on something that's, breathing, moving, So it kind of forces you to treat it in a totally different realm of art, which was interesting, if you're painting, you're like, I'm going to put some music on, I'm just going to have quiet, and I have all this time, and none of that applied to tattooing. So I think that was like the biggest draw, and you fall in love with it because you become obsessed with it. You're like, well, how do I do this better? How do I, can't mess it up, but I did. So yeah. I mean, I don't think it's comparable, really. It's just
and all that's true on a I guess I would call that on a technical level, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's go deeper than that. Like, what makes tattoo special? I mean, maybe you disagree. I don't think you do, but I personally don't think for someone that gets a tattoo that they really, really, really love.
Yeah.
I would challenge them to ask them, like, has a painting ever moved you as much as that tattoo? Has anything ever, any piece of art, and maybe they went to the Sistine Chapel and it happened there.
For sure.
I'm not trying to say or build a case where like a tattoo is the greatest art in the world. Nothing can move people as powerfully as tattoo. Not true. I mean, you might be into music. You might hear Mozart's Fifth, and it moves you more than your back piece because that's your. But in a general way, you will find consistently it does move people more than a painting, more than a sculpture, all this stuff. Let's get into that. Like, why is that? Besides the obvious, it's,
For sure.
But I'll let you put it in your words. What is all that?
Yeah. I mean, if you take away the whole, it's on you forever, right? Of course it is. You I think as the person getting it, you are making a conscious choice to kind of change your life, right? Whether it's just a visual change, whether it's a, kind of holding on to that day even, right? Or the memory of why you're getting it. So I think there's nothing more personal and exciting and, meaningful for the person, even if they get something that has no meaning, that they just like the imagery. They made the choice to do it, So I think there's an attachment to it that you don't get with something you could just buy, something that's hanging on your wall, something that
you said a good one there. I haven't thought of it this way, but when you buy a painting, you're not committing to changing your personal persona.
Yeah.
You're not committing to changing your identity.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of does. Maybe you decorate your whole house with Picasso, but guess what? In a couple of years, you're like, this stuff's lame, and then it's all Dali.
Yep.
But when you do a tattoo, you're saying, I'm going to be different. I'm going to express myself in this way, and I'm going to have to stick with it to the bitter end.
Yeah.
So, of course, it's going to be a little more impactful to the person that buys it or gets it, So that's true. That's true. Makes it more special. Makes it different.
10,000%. And I think, maybe even like fast forwarding too much, but I think especially now that there is a large and small community around tattooing, you also are kind of like putting yourself into a new group. You can go places and see people with tattoos and be like, hey, I have a tattoo too. Wow, that's
part
crazy.
of the club.
We both made this, cool commitment. Like, how awesome is this, and there's like a sense of belonging and accomplishment. You have to sit there. You have to,
It's just like a guy with a custom $30,000 Harley.
Yeah.
He's automatically accepted and loved by strangers that have custom Harleys.
Yeah.
He just pulls up and he sees three guys with custom Harleys. Guaranteed they're all going to get along and be friends. Yeah. You do become a part of a community.
Yeah.
So, like it or not.
Yeah, right. but yeah, I mean, I think it's just such a kind of experience that you created for yourself, as the one getting the tattoo, and especially if you have a great experience, then I mean, you're going to hold on to that more than a painting.
Well, experience is, and you hear it talked about now a lot. I'm a 30-year ago tattooer, and it was like my first boss told me, you see those people in the waiting room? Yeah, those are your enemy. Literally, that was just his words. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, fuck them. They are here to pay us our fucking money. Be nice, But if any of them give you shit, you give me a signal, we'll kick their asses.
Yeah.
You know, and he came from the streets of San Francisco. He learned from Henry Goldfield. At the time, I was like, you're fucking stupid. Like, that is not how it works.
Yeah.
But the thing, what was happening is I was seeing the future of what we do now, which is we're giving the customer an experience. We have these beautiful spaces they get tattooed in. We ask them if they're thirsty or hungry. We give them pillows to put under their neck. It's completely opposite. But he was coming from, no, man, like we almost got stabbed one night in the shop I used to work at. So he was just, so I've learned in time to understand him and even forgive him. Like he was trying to help me.
Yeah.
He thought I was going into that tattoo world. He didn't understand the tattoo world landscape was shifting before his eyes, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a big part of it. But the other part of tattoo that it's so many people, I think everybody's an artist. I've said it my whole life. You look at little babies, little children, let them do whatever they want. They create.
Yeah.
They get mud and make something. They just make stuff. And so everyone's sort of an artist and not everybody is a visual artist. Some it goes towards music or whatever. But I find with tattoo clients, they're kind of like really artistic people who never had time to develop illustration skills or sculpting skills. Yep. So they have this yearning desire to express.
Yep.
And then we get to like co-collaborate with them. Yep. So they get to be a part of this art project, which is pretty rare. I mean, most people don't get to be a part of the painter. They don't sit in that room. Yep. I'm going to buy a painting from you. I'm going to sit with you every day while you paint it. And when you want to use a certain color, we're going to discuss it.
Yeah.
I don't know about the light purple. How about it doesn't. You do the painting, you give it to them. Yeah. So it's this co-collaborative thing, and I think that's why it is on their body till they die, but also they were a part of it. I mean, there are exceptions where it's just like I drew this, sit down, shut up, there you go. Yeah. But I think you and I are both in the world where we're working with these people. Yeah. We're allowing 100%. Their opinions to enter into the project. Yeah. That I think would qualify as definitely a special part of tattooing.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually awesome you brought that up because it's hard to articulate that part, but that's 100% true, and I think that also adds a huge kind of, how do you word it? I don't want to say connection, that's the wrong word, but I always tell all my clients, like, we're both equally in this, right? Like, we both have to symbiotically work together to accomplish a goal. So, like, I want your input, I'm going to give you my input. We're gonna kind of hit this, like, middle ground where everything's just, like, smooth sailing from there. And I think that makes people excited, I think when both parties are, like, on the same page and going towards the same goal, it's, it works, right?
It does, and that's why, just like dating, you better vibe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a sexual thing, but it's almost like you have to almost be somebody I'd be friends with, because and it's fine if we don't and we wouldn't be friends, but usually a good tattoo's not going to come out of that. Yeah. We got to have similar interests, similar likes and dislikes. So it's a relationship, especially, I mean, when we do these large 200-hour projects, like, okay, we're going to spend the next 3 years together. Yeah. Let's get to know each other first, because otherwise it's not going to go. It could not go well. Interesting. Another layer to why tattoo is different and special, right? Yeah. You don't have to do that in these other art forms. You don't have to maintain a 2-year loving friendship with the person you're making the art with. It can be more of a business transaction. Here's your painting, give me my money, thank you. Yeah. So way different, and way. I mean, I'm kind of getting back to you fell into tattooing and you never walked away. I would expect the reason that happened, and it does happen to most tattooers, is you fell in love with what we're talking about.
10,000%.
You could have fallen in love as hard for painting. Yep. You could have. Yep. But the painting wasn't doing the things we just said. Yep. But the tattoo does do these things, and not everyone falls in love with it. I know some artists that got in; they did not like that part. Yep. They were like, "This is too personal. I'm introverted. I don't want to have relationships with 1,000 people that all have my cell phone number." And they migrated off, and they're painters now, and they're amazing. Yeah. And they have their private painting studios, and it's great. Yeah. So, but you're like me; we liked that relationship part of it. I think. Yeah, it's cool.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Well, on that note, not on that note, but just something. What do you think about? You're a 20-year tattooer, so I like to say it's like you got the full ride, right? 20 years ago, I'm 30. it was even dirtier then. But you still got some dirty.
Yeah.
I know you've been in and out of some fucking thug ass shops and whatever,
Yep.
which is fantastic and beautiful and makes our industry super colorful.
Yep.
It's sort of going away further in the distance.
Yep.
So you had that, and then you were part of what I like to call the tattoo renaissance, which
Yep.
is when all these talented young artists, people that would never have become tattooers 40 years ago,
Yep.
became tattooers. They could have went off to Disney or Pixar. And these guys had all these guys talent. So then this renaissance, boom. And now we're at where we're at today, where it's just like every morning I wake up, I see another level of somebody doing something. I'm like,
Yeah.
holy shit, can it get any better? And it
Yeah.
keeps going.
Yeah.
But let's talk about that. How do you view that, and especially the future? I mean, I just kind of covered the past,
Yeah.
the present.
Yeah.
I think you're nodding your head, so we just
Yeah.
agree that's what happened. The tattoo renaissance occurred and is still occurring. Let's talk about the future, though, because the landscape of our planet is shifting so rapidly with AI and digital media and all this stuff, and it's not just going to affect tattoo; it's going to affect government,
Everything.
religion,
Yep.
everything. So, but let's what are your thoughts around that? What do you think the future of
Future or
tattooing looks?
specifics when we get into like AI and elements like that, or all of it?
Let's just do a little bit of all of it. Like,
All right, let's
what's
do
the
all of
next
it.
10 years of tattooing going to, and you're,
Yeah.
it's going to be hard to get that right. I don't exactly know,
Yeah.
but take a stab at it. What's it
All
going to
right,
look like?
all right. As a general, I agree with everything you said. That let's say up until even today, right? I don't want to say we're peaking, but I want to say you're going to see this revival of a little bit of an older mentality. I think we're getting a little lost with technology incorporated with tattooing, and it's only going to hurt people, right? I mean, they think it's going to be beneficial, but no one's really earning it, right? Like no one's pushing things anymore. It's like you go to a convention, you'll see the same thing, right? You'll see a half black and gray Zeus face, right? And then they're going to put a big line through it. Then they're going to do a color portion of a skull. Then they're going to put a line through it, and then they're going to put the rest of the face.
You're seeing themes being repeated.
Yeah.
It's the what you're talking about there is technology, digital media, AI
Yeah.
is homogenizing
10,000%.
the output of the tattoo industry.
Between that and what we see on social media, it's kind of taking all these people who are phenomenal and have room to really just blow our minds, right? But time, right? It's kind of like what you said. When you work hard, you can build a portfolio, but it's time. And people now have a tool that can make them lazier as far as a creative process. And also you have pressure from, let's say the main source I think people think is driving their business is social media. So they're seeing what's getting more likes. They're seeing what's being popular. They're kind of pigeonholing themselves into this, right? When they could do this, and they're forgetting about like, this is only hitting a niche market, right? Like there are millions of people out there who want to see you push a limit and, maybe trial and error, but I think we're going to keep progressing, but I think we're going to kind of be at a cap point until people stop using it, and then even with AI, like, that's a hour, many hours of a conversation, but in my opinion, is it okay to utilize technology? Sure. Is it kind of sad because you're not even having to mentally think about your process anymore? If you're just punching in keywords, Poseidon, water, ship, octopus thing, right? And you weren't able, let's say you could execute a tattoo perfectly, but you can't create it. You don't have the mental capability. Train yourself, figure it out. Now you punch it in, and that's what everyone's doing, right? So you're just going to be having something dictate what you're creating. And then at what point is it just not, all you're doing, you're a craftsman, which you are, but like you're just executing something you didn't even create. So did you steal it from a computer? Did you put no effort into it? You're not going to learn, So I think we're kind of currently capped. I think you're going to have a lot of people pushing that, still want to progress to a point where it's going to blow everyone's mind. But I think as a whole, we need to kind of degress from it and start putting the effort back in. And then you'll see like almost like another revival. It'll kind of like come full circle, and you'll be like, oh crap, look at what everyone's doing. Like.
I agree. I mean, so many. You look at all the really hot pieces on Instagram right now, and a lot of them, you can just see it. I'm like, that came out of Midjourney. That's a Midjourney AI production. I they're all unique, right? Because you can just, so it is cool that the AI can produce a unique, new, novel concept or art piece, and then you tattoo it.
Right.
That's cool. At least it's not a exact copy, but you can tell these things are coming from that source.
10,000%.
And it's sort of, I've often said, like, AI seems to be this shiny new toy that it's very impressive. Like, it's writing Jimi Hendrix songs that don't exist. I mean, and I'm checking it out. It's fucking cool. I've been on Midjourney. Look, I can't believe it does it. Yeah. So it's a shiny new toy that everyone's very enthralled by it, but it is homogenizing, and it is. So you see these, they look like computerish generated art on skin, and that's cool. But I do think there's going to be, and I'm seeing it, like this is probably the revival of like this minimalist tribal work people are getting now. Yeah. It's like all this super complex, and this is, your stuff is complex too, and layered in that way. And that's beautiful, but you're seeing people going the opposite direction now. Yeah. Like, I just want 6 circles of black across and then down my spine, a black line that fans out on my butt cheeks. That's my back piece. Yeah. And it looks cool. I have a gal at one of my shops that does that. And I'm like, that's fucking cool. Yeah. Very elegant, very sexy, very minimalist. Yeah. No skull, no fire, no nothing. Nope. I mean, there's a part of me too. It's like, I'm going to do that for the next 10 years.
That sounds great, right?
That sounds relaxing. But someone might say anyone can do that. Well, I don't know. She's putting that line. There's just certain very key choices that she's making, and it makes us a little more appropriate. Yep. So there's art there too, but I do think there'll be a revival towards tribal, back to the roots style. Not everybody, but people are already going that way. Yeah. And just in general, I think there'll be a day in the near future where people are going to start valuing more and more and more analog things. Yeah. It's like I could put an LCD wall in my house that projects AI art that feels like I just hit a DMT pipe. Yeah. But the thing is, eventually, everyone's going to have a wall like that in their house, projecting imagery that's similar to that. Yeah. And one of the coolest things about art is to be able to say, I have something unique that you don't have. Yep. This is like so then maybe people are going to go back to I want analog art. I want a real fucking painting with fucking pubic hair stuck in it. You know?
100%.
So maybe these are all guesses, but we'll see. It's definitely it's just shifting so fast. It's so interesting. Mostly, I find it like it's like I'm watching a sci-fi movie right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what's interesting too is it is shifting so fast, right? Mm. So I think by the time, and you always have different mentalities, but I think by the time people who are stubborn try to catch up to it too, it's already over, right? Mm. And so you have this like second wave of like
copycats.
Yeah, but ultimately, how sci-fi do we want to get? Like, I mean, if it's like Mars Attacks, like sweet, But if it's like War of the Worlds, you're like, oh, those things are pretty big, and
it could be a scary future. Like, it could save us or can kill us. It'll probably do a little bit of both. Yep, a little bit of
with everything.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Well, let me social media. I mean, I don't want to get into it. It's pretty much what we just said. Yep. We use the word Midjourney and AI, but social media is the homogenization of our art form as well. Yep. At the same time, it simultaneously is pushing the art forward because as soon as people could check out the coolest tattoo that was done yesterday in Germany, I'm going to lean on that a little. And so the growth happened really quickly. Yep. But now it's just a sea of it's hard to have a voice anymore. It's a lot of voices there. And I cover that already on a lot of my shows. It's like kind of exhausting, and I think everyone's heard it already. Yeah. But moving on, like maybe we'll get into some other stuff. Like, how do you feel about these people that are getting anesthesia tattoos?
Horrible. I think it's ridiculous. I think I'll try to break it down eloquently. If you take someone famous, right? Everyone wants to tattoo famous people because in their minds it's the best form of promotion, right? Mm-hmm. But what makes it any different than tattooing a normal, not famous person? Nothing, right? Everyone's making the same commitment. You should be treating people the same. So these people, it's all a money grab, right? They're coming in, they're not paying for they're not paying the $100,000 to get put under and have 5, 6 artists do a mediocre tattoo that's rushed on them while they're put under. And then they're hoping it's impressive enough to other people that they're going to be like, oh man, that sounds great. And, it's incredible. But it just devalues every aspect of our entire craft, right? There's no communication. There is no working with the person. There's no taking a break and, shooting the shit for 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. It becomes, now you're just producing, now you're McDonald's, right? Mm. The person comes in, I'll take a number 1, do this.
That's
this,
interesting
this,
you say that. Let me challenge you a little bit on this one. Let me paint a scenario and have you react to it. So
Okay.
I have a guy who already has got a back piece. I'm just painting a story.
Yeah.
He's got 2 sleeves from 2 other famous tattooers.
Yep.
He's moved on in his career. He's not a famous guy. He's got money, though.
Yeah.
He's got kids, a wife, and running a thriving business.
Yep.
And he already has a relationship with the artist that did his back. They've been through hundreds of hours together of tattooing, and he calls him and says, look, I want to finish my front, and it's a time thing. Like, I just want it done. I don't have going to you 12, 15 times in me anymore. Is there any way? I've got the money. You guys, I could be put under, and you guys could do this art, you and a couple of other artists, and we could get it done much more quickly. I look at that like, well, first of all, I have a rule in life. It's simple. Anyone can do anything they want as long as it doesn't hurt another person.
Right.
Simple.
Yep.
I think that one's a huge one. That relates to world wars and things. You've got people
1000%.
killing each other in the Middle East because they don't believe in you. Basically, people are saying, you should live the way I live.
Yep.
And it escalates to the point of murder.
Yep.
So you can bring it all the way down to the smallest of things.
Yep.
I don't think you should have blue hair. It bothers me.
Right.
You should have hair like me.
Right.
It goes back to when I was a punk rock kid. I remember my first thoughts on why I had blue hair was just to, like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm going to have blue hair.
For sure.
Why?
Yeah.
Explain to me why that's a problem for you.
Yeah.
And so I have that rule, right? Now, based on that rule, you have two people. A client can not do it.
Yep.
Then don't get anesthesia tattoo.
Yep.
A tattooer can say, I will not do that.
Right.
Then don't tattoo someone under anesthesia. But if you've got the client and the tattooer, and they both choose in to do it, now what's your problem?
Yeah. Well, I would say, so the initial question and that analogy are 2 different things, right?
Okay.
Under what you just said, for sure, right? Mm-hmm. If everyone's in agreement, if it's just my feeling on it, right? I guess what you see with everything in the world, right, mm-hmm. is people start devaluing everyone's effort and time, mm-hmm. right? That everyone's trying to be more important than the other. And what I don't like about anesthesia especially is that even if you can, right, even if it's a time thing for you, you're not considering, like, as a general concept, you're not considering the artist's time, right? You're not saying, okay, well, this is a different process than you do every day. Mm-hmm. I'm going to interrupt your life, right, and your process because I want this. You know what I mean?
That's true, but the artist has the ability to say no, thank you.
But yeah, so if you just break it down to a yes or no,
mm-hmm.
of course. But as a general, I think when you have places that push it, of course they agreed to it. They want to do it,
mm-hmm.
But I think it devalues the process. And I think it also kind of puts this idea in people's heads that, like, well, if I have the money, right, I can act this way or do this. Because, look at social media. Everything is a mind game, right? So everyone sees the anesthesia tattoos. They think, well, yeah, that should be offered everywhere. Oh, your shop doesn't offer anesthesia? Well, you're a lesser shop now. Oh, you know what I mean? I think there's a lot of, like, scenarios with it that just, take away from what we do.
I'm just poking in general. I like to be devil's advocate. I'm going to tell you straight up, I'm doing one.
Yeah.
For this reason.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm fully into it either.
Right.
But I've always been the type of guy that's like, I'm going to try this. And the thing with me was, well, first of all, it's me and 4 other bad motherfuckers.
Right.
Because I have seen that. But when you talk about under anesthesia and a kind of a half-assed tattoo that was rushed, well, my judgment there is I just don't like shitty tattooing.
Right. Right.
But if you can put somebody out, they're choosing in, the artist is choosing in, and they walk away with something that's pretty dope, fail to see why not. And but
Yep.
but I do hear everything you're saying. Believe me, I have the same feelings. I'm 30 year. I'm an
Yeah,
old
yeah.
school dude.
Yeah. Well,
But-
and that might be the thing too, right? You know, like I just, you get stuck in your ways. But I also, I don't know. I don't disagree with everyone can make a choice. Like, hey, I don't care that people do, but I also think it's so much in the kind of public now, right? That I think people need to talk about scenarios of it as opposed to it as a general, Because back to what you said, everyone should be able to do what they want. As long as it doesn't hurt or impact anyone else, do it. I mean, but I think, we have to also kind of look at microcosms of it and be like, is this really a great idea? And I guess really for me, it comes like I keep a super strict schedule. I know what I'm doing every minute of every day, like for a solid year. Like I do a year rotation, right, and then a wait list. So like, if I want to do something, I have to make sure that I'm not impacting the commitment I made to other people's time. So I think if someone approached me with like, hey, I want to do this. I'm going to, pay extra for this because my time's valuable and I don't have time to do this. Well, I would say, well, so is mine, like I have the ability to say no, like it's just not for me, like this is how we structure it. So I can, one, keep giving everything I have to this industry, you know what I mean? But two, also I have a life, right? Like I have to be able to dedicate some time to that too. So, but then it's just personal choice, like I think so. And just different ways to look at it, but.
Well, I think we ended up in the same place.
Yeah.
And it was a good conversation.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to have had it with you. And I'm just, I kind of almost am doing this one because I want to stir the pot a little
Yeah,
bit. And
I want to
just
see it. I'm sure it's going to be awesome.
And
you
hell,
know
man,
what I mean?
I'll tell you right now, I might walk out of this thing and be like, fucking never doing that again. Maybe I learned that I can't create art at the level I expect me to be able to create it. And believe me, if the art sacrifices, I'm out.
Yeah.
I currently believe with the team I have, we're going to make some rad art. But and I think we will, but it'll be interesting. I'm always toying. I was the first guy to get the rotaries with batteries. I was the first old dude to start using iPad. I'm always like, fuck it, let's try it. And some of it worked. Well, actually, a lot of it has worked. I'm still tattooing with rotaries and batteries on the back of them, and I'm still using my iPad.
Yeah.
And I did a AI me fusion bodysuit art piece recently, and my friends are like, "You fucking made that?" I toyed with AI, used it as inspiration, made the art on my iPad. So it's this whole digital fucking bodysuit. I think it's cool looking.
Nice.
But, I thought I was going to get creamed. And people were like, no, it's fucking cool, man. I was like, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm always, whatever everyone's like getting a little huffy about, I'm the first guy to be like, let's try it.
Yeah.
So that's just me. But I also like to hear everyone's opinion. But I agree with you. But in the end, you said what I think, which is, you don't got to do it. Don't do it.
Yep.
They don't have to, everyone has a choice here.
Yep.
Do what you want.
Yep.
That's kind of the core backbone of the tattoo industry, was a world of people that got together that was saying to the rest of the world, we are going to do whatever we want and don't judge me.
Yep.
I'm a nice person. If I hurt you or if I have sex with your wife, we have a problem. Until then, what's your problem?
Yeah.
I have a tattoo on my forehead. What is your problem? How does this affect you in any way? So I kind of layer that onto all these different things like anesthesia tattooing. What is your problem? And you didn't have a problem, but you were just saying you don't really like it. It does, because it does rob away this deeper thing we talked about in the beginning, which is this soul connection that happens in tattooing. Well, me and this client and 4 tattooers working on them, we're not going to walk away with a super soulful moment. Yeah. We're just going towards like, how much can we get done? It's a different thing. Yeah. Very cool. Tell us how you feel. Like, why be at a convention? Is it, I'm sure it's all about the trophies, right?
No, not at all. So, I've been doing a lot of conventions around the world for many years, right? And, when you're younger, you have a different kind of hunger for it. So I understand from every aspect, but, the whole reason you're supposed to go to a convention is to network, is to shake hands, is to be around your community, And you really see that getting lost nowadays. You see people come in, pop their headphones in. They're going to bury themselves in a 3-day tattoo to try to win a trophy. And they're not going to say hi to anyone. They're not even looking up, They tattoo for 12 hours, right? Go to bed, wake up, do the same all weekend. Then they're gone. Right? They accomplished nothing. They accomplished no tangible reason to be there, but they think they did, right? And then they enter it, right? They enter their clients there. They just got tortured all weekend. They're like, yeah, we're gonna win, and they don't win. right? And it devalues everything, right? The client just sat there for nothing. They could have had a different experience. You know, you could have let them take a break, you know, and you didn't do anything either, right? You did a tattoo. It's probably beautiful, but why? Why?
I agree. And there is, and like we said earlier, it's fine, but I think it's a community building experience.
10,000%.
And the trophies, I've won a few. I kind of backed off the trophy stuff in a younger year because I just like, this feels so fucking weird. Like, I feel like, what do you mean a trophy? Like, how do you decide what's the best one? It's so interpretable, like, you know, and then of course I lost a couple that I thought I should have won. I probably won a couple that I shouldn't have, you know, like this is getting fucking weird. So if you lose one when you're with your client, what a strange vibe it is when
you're both like, standing there and you're like, oh, buddy, no, it was rigged. You know? Like, and it's like, but I agree.
Awkward.
I think it's okay to have contests at a convention for healed work, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a totally different element, you know. But if they just got rid of Tattoo of the Day and Best of Show, the entire convention would be different. People would be able...
Tattoo of the Day makes people go insane.
Yeah.
They do insane shit. They don't talk to anybody. It really does take a client and an artist completely out of the community. Chasing Tattoo of the Day. Because you're not going to... It used to be... Back when I was young, the Tattoo of the Day was everyone just ripped a really fun... A 6-hour piece, and we all decided which one was the coolest. Then somebody was like, I'm going to get Tattoo of the Day for sure because I'm doing a back piece in one day. And everyone's going for monster jobs. And I'm like, that's... I mean, again, do what you want, but it is a weird one, Tattoo of the Day. I've never thought of it like you just said. I kind of agree with that. Well, very good. Very, very honor to meet you and to get to know you better. Thank you for making time for the show. I'll say hi to you when I get back down on the floor. Are you tattooing down there today? Well, good luck down there. I hope you get Tattoo of the Day.
I'm going to be really upset if I don't.
Yeah, you should.
I'm not even going to go to dinner with anyone tonight. I'm just going to cry in the hotel room.
Just cry yourself to sleep. Everybody out there, if you're into black and gray work with a very surrealistic vibe, please check out Tony's work, Tony Mancia, at Tony Mancia on Instagram. Okay, very simple. Mancia. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace out.
Chats and Tats with Aaron Della Vedova.